The small coastal town of Blackthorn Cove was known for its rugged cliffs, crashing waves, and eerie fog that rolled in from the sea. It was a place where secrets were buried deep, and the townsfolk rarely spoke of the past. But one stormy night, the past came crashing back. Detective Eleanor Hart had just arrived in Blackthorn Cove, seeking a quiet escape from the chaos of the city. She had rented a small cottage on the edge of town, hoping to spend her days reading and walking along the shore. But peace was not to be found. On her second night, as the storm raged outside, there was a frantic knock on her door. Standing there was a young woman, drenched and shivering. Her name was Clara, and she was the daughter of the local lighthouse keeper. "Please, you have to help me," Clara begged, her eyes wide with fear. "My father. He's gone. He went to check the lighthouse during the storm and never came back. And now, I keep hearing voices, seeing shadows in the fog. I think someone is out there." Eleanor, though reluctant to get involved, couldn't turn the girl away. She grabbed her coat and followed Clara through the howling wind and rain to the lighthouse. The beam of light cut through the darkness, but the shadows seemed to dance around it, alive and menacing. Inside the lighthouse, everything was in disarray. The furniture was overturned, and the floor was wet with seawater. But there was no sign of Clara's father. Eleanor began to search the room, her detective instincts kicking in. She noticed a trail of muddy footprints leading to the basement. "Stay here," Eleanor told Clara, but the girl shook her head. "I'm not staying alone," Claire said firmly. Together, they descended the creaking stairs into the damp, dark basement. The air was thick with the smell of salt and decay. As they reached the bottom, Eleanor's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. And then, they saw a hidden door, slightly ajar. Eleanor pushed the door open, revealing a small hidden room. Inside, they found Clara's father, tied up and gagged. He was alive, but barely conscious. As Eleanor untied him, he gasped out a single word, "shipwreck." Before Eleanor could ask what he meant, a noise behind them made her spin around. A figure stood in the doorway, silhouetted by the dim light. It was a man, his face obscured by a hood, and in his hand he held a knife. "Who are you?" Eleanor demanded, stepping in front of Clara and her father. The man didn't answer. Instead, he lunged at them. Eleanor reacted quickly, grabbing a nearby iron rod and blocking his attack. The two struggled, the sound of the storm outside drowning out their shouts. Clara screamed as the man knocked Eleanor to the ground, but before he could strike, a loud crash echoed through the basement. The lighthouse keeper, though weak, had thrown a heavy lantern at the man, hitting him in the head. The man staggered, giving Eleanor enough time to disarm him and pin him to the ground. Clara rushed to help, and together they tied him up with the same ropes that had bound her father. As the storm began to subside, the truth came to light. The man was a smuggler, part of a group that had been using the lighthouse to guide their illegal shipments to shore. Clara's father had discovered their operation, and they had taken him captive to silence him. The shipwreck he had mentioned was a decoy, used to lure unsuspecting ships into danger, allowing the smugglers to loot them. With the man in custody and the lighthouse keeper safe, Eleanor knew her work wasn't done. The shadows in the storm had been real, but they were no match for the light of truth. And as the first rays of dawn broke through the clouds, Eleanor realized that Blackthorn Cove might just be the place she was meant to stay, not for the peace, but for the mysteries waiting to be solved.